Kia ora and welcome to Winning Voice, the podcast series brought to you by Report It Now. Report It Now is an independent organisation which equips businesses with the tools and capabilities to foster an open and honest work environment. The series looks to interview experts and people who've had experience, good and bad, with speaking up and speaking out in organisations. Today we'll be speaking with Katherine Bradshaw, who'll be joining us from the UK. Katherine is the National Lead for Communications and Engagement at the National Guardian's Office. She's also a writer and previously has worked with the Institute of Business Ethics in the UK. Katherine is an advocate for ethical and responsible business communications. She's presented extensively and written on the subject for organisations including the Institute of Business Ethics. Katherine will explain a little bit more about the National Guardian's Office.
Thanks, Craig, and thanks for having me. Yes, so I'm the National Lead for Communications and Engagement at the National Guardian's Office. The role of the National Guardian was established in 2015 by Sir Robert Francis following his inquiry into the tragedies at a hospital in England, where he found that people, if they spoke up, were bullied or victimised as a result. And the National Guardian leads a network of freedom to speak up guardians throughout the healthcare sector in England.
So that report that was done, I've had a look through. It's quite an amazing detail, and the problems that were faced were embedded and entrenched in the organisation. So a massive amount of work has been required to rectify things. I wonder if maybe you could start with the challenge that the office faced in trying to unpick the problems that were there.
So freedom to speak up guardians are an additional channel for speaking up, because what Sir Robert found was that people were speaking up. They just weren't, it was an unsafe thing to do. And especially for people who, perhaps because of their ethnicity or their contract terms, were easily dismissed or bullied as a result. So the challenge really is one of mindset, which is to the guardians offer that safe place where people can speak up. What guardians do is they listen to people, they thank them for speaking up, and then they work with them to get the result that they need. So they have to work across their organisation, for example, to get issues raised, acted upon. But the other part of their role is a proactive one. So they also work with their organisations to remove those barriers to speaking up for people. So that may be challenging their leaders and sharing themes that are coming from people speaking up to them. So their role is kind of reactive in that, listening to people, but also proactive. So it's a big job for them, and so that's why we're here at the National Office to support them in their role. The idea is that they're impartial and they're independent. So although they work for the organisation, they have that independent role. Freedom to Speak Up Guardians have someone on the board or equivalent who will be their non-exec director for Freedom to Speak Up, who they can go to and who kind of has oversight of them. And there is also an executive lead for Freedom to Speak Up, or there should be, who they can talk to get things happen. We were established in 2016, and it started out just as guardians in hospital trusts. But since then, we've grown, the network's grown, and there's now over 800 guardians in over 500 organisations, and not just in the hospitals, but throughout primary care and hospices and the ambulance network, and also arm's length national bodies who throughout the health sector. And we are seeing organisations outside of the healthcare sector adopting this model as well.
What are some of the things that you've seen emerge where it has helped culture within the health service or a particular subset of the health service?
So we ask guardians to share their data with us about the number of cases that are raised with them, but we also look at things like the NHS staff survey. Now, it's an imperfect model because, of course, that's only for staff. So guardians also support other workers in their organisation. But we look at the staff survey, and we have seen that improve since guardians were established. A couple have got questions which ask about whether you feel safe to speak up, and measure those and see the improvements. So it's gone up, I think, from about 3.5 percentage points since guardians were established.
What would you see as being some of the skills that a guardian would have if a business was looking to set up a similar type of process or work in this way?
So we have a universal job description which can be applied to the role in any setting, and within that job description we list the guardian values, and they are courage, impartiality, empathy and learning. And so those are the key attributes really to being able to speak truth to power, to be able to listen without taking sides, and then to have empathy for what you're hearing, and then also really importantly learning. So to take the learning for yourself as a guardian, but also to encourage your organisation in their learning as well. We survey guardians every year about their perceptions of the role and freedom to speak up in the sector, and we find that they say that it is a challenging role, but it's a rewarding one. Special people step up to it, if you know what I mean.
For the National Guardians, how do they deal with reporting and how does the NHS deal with it? Do they look at a large number of reports as being successful or a limited number of reports being successful?
This is an age-old question, isn't it, Craig? Is a big number good or is a small number good? And I would say that actually this is where triangulating your data is the way to go. So if you suddenly get a large number where you didn't have a large number before, what's happened? So is something happening within the organization? Are you having a merger? Or some companies have told me in the past that they often get peaks around about bonus time or appraisal time. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if it's usual for you to have a spike around about that time, then then all well and good. But if this is unusual, or if it's happening with in a part of the organization that you never had anything before, it's good to take a look. And what does your staff survey say? What do your retention rates look like? What about customer complaints? Because sometimes that can be a measure that you can look at and see actually customers are saying this stuff isn't great, and so are our workers. So it's about looking at everything in the round. But I would say that no reports probably means you've either put a typo on your, which I have heard happen, you've got a typo on your helpline number, because you'll always hear something. Even it just might be that the nature of what you're hearing changes.
Yeah.
So you might not hear the big stuff. It might be small stuff that's easily remedied. So yeah, silence is never a good sign, I think.
What's your view of success for this program?
I would say if people don't feel that they have to be anonymous when they speak up, if they feel they can speak up, if not openly, at least confidentially, then that shows that there is a more trust has been built within the organization, because you're not afraid that you're going to be bullied.
Yeah.
You're not afraid that you're going to be blacklisted. You're not afraid, of anything worse. But you can speak up confidentially and know that something will happen.
So, as the big wrap up question, what's the opportunity that you see as available for organisations by fostering a better speaking up culture?
At the National Guardian's Office, we always say that speaking up is a gift. And that's because it's a gift of information. And that's the opportunity for organisations, I think, that you're being told stuff that you can't just find out, by looking at a chart or what have you. This is stuff that you can either stop a problem before it becomes a crisis, an opportunity to make improvements, to be the best organisation that you can be. And I think that's the opportunity, really, that this information, and it's to make your place of work, a great place to be. So people will want to come and work with you. They want to stay with you. It's your opportunity to be the best. So by listening to what people are telling you and by following up, I think that's the opportunity to act on that gift from your people speaking up to you.
Look, thank you very much, Katherine. I really appreciate the time that you've given to talk with us. I'm sure the viewers of the podcast will learn a lot from this and think about how they can apply it to their organisations. So once again, all the very best to you and to the National Guardians and what they're doing. And we look forward to it continuing to be very successful and lead the way for organisations in the UK and around the world.